Well, it's a sad day in America, actually California specifically, and some other states actually, that require us now to unassault our so-called assault rifles by making a stock that's fixed and a grip that's no longer a hand grip but more resembles a shotgun or rifle. What a shame. Let's walk through this together on how to put one of these on. Stay tuned. I chose to go with the FRS 15. It's a complete rifle stock kit, right? So it's got the buffer tube cover. It's got all of the parts I need to convert, and it gives me a length of pull option. I went with a 13.5 just because that was what was in stock, and gives me a grip storage compartment, all the standards. This is the FRS 15. This is definitely something that I'm not happy about doing. I'm going to be honest with you completely, but I want to be able to shoot at ranges, and the only way I can shoot at a gun range is if I put one of these on my AR-15. Right, so this company did a great job. This is $140 at a store called Turner's Outdoors in Southern California. You guys can probably get them online for cheaper, but with tax it was $140. And so I'm going to go ahead and take it apart, and we're going to put it on my completely stripped lower. However, I will make a side note. I now get to go back to a regular button. No longer do I have a magazine release that requires a bullet button. It's a standard magazine release, so I can pretend I'm an American in California with that. So on the inside of the packaging are the directions on what to do and how to do it. So this is hard to read for you guys, so I'm just going to go through each step together live on the camera, and we're going to put it together. Step one is to remove the stock that you already have. And so we don't need to do that because I already did it. It says pull it to the rear position and then remove it. So you'll have to obviously take your stock off. Step one. The next step is to remove the buffer spring. So we need to press down with some type of screwdriver or whatnot on the buffer retaining pin to allow that spring to come out. Now this guy is loaded, so be very careful. Alright, so there's my spring. Remove that. There you go. Alright, so we're going to loosen our castle nut. We're just going to take our multi-tool and just give it a little go. We want to hear a little crack. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. And there's little teeth. The only reason why I like the multi-tool is there's teeth in that groove, so we can just twist it a fourth. Okay, just enough to loosen that up. Okay, so I'm doing one of these. I'm trying to do it so you can see it in the camera pretty well. And now I'll just move this ever so slightly, turn it 1/4 or so. Turn that up, out comes that spring. That's the pin that was behind the spring. Now, this next step, we've got to remove that buffer retaining pin. Okay? And that guy he's got a spring behind him, and I don't know if you know, for you AR guys who already know, you can skip ahead, but if you look at my buffer tube right here, as I'm moving this buffer tube around, there's a little lip on that pin. This tube holds that down. A lot of guys, start going with the safety glasses and whatnot, but I'm going to put my thumb over that guy, and I'm going to start unscrewing this until it's no longer on him. And I'm actually just going to unscrew the tube all the way off. And I can feel the pressure on that spring right now. So that tube's off, and I gently let my thumb up. And now you'll see it'll come out with the spring. Okay, lots of springs. Next thing it says to do is to remove the original end plate and replace it with the more ergonomic receiver end plate. And then we're going to reassemble the buffer tube, reversing the order of what we did. So What's interesting is that my receiver end plate, although it is thicker, is one of the ergonomic ones, and I bought this lower 2 years ago, so maybe it's a Lewis Machine & Tool Defender 2000. So it's already ergonomic, but they give you one as well, and they're pretty much identical. So for some of the older ARs, you might not have, you'll have that one that has the sharp edges. They say no go on that one, use this one. Now there's a groove that you're going to want to line up with the groove in your tube, and you want to make sure that this plate, the end is pointing outwards, actually towards the lower. So we're going to start putting that back in. Let me go around here on the camera so you can see. I'm trying to zoom in, and I probably shouldn't even do that. Now what we're going to do, so we're going to screw this all the way until you get close to that hole where the buffer retaining spring goes back in. So you're going to get as close as you can, and then what I'm going to do is take that buffer retaining spring and retainer, this guy, we're going to put him back in that hole, and then I'm going to depress it, right, get it back down in, and I'm going to twist it just a little more to get it over. There's a little, brilliant design, right? There's a little ledge. See that little ledge on my buffer tube? That holds that guy down because I got to put that guy back. And now I have the room to do it before I put the plate on. Brilliant design. One of our little friends I failed to mention is the rear takedown pin, which actually is what this pin goes into to hold it in place, and this spring pushes that pin in and holds that in place. Okay, I just took it apart because I make a lot of assumptions on these videos. I shouldn't do that. This guy, see the grooves? That's where the pin has to go. He goes right in here, straight back with those teeth, facing that way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to slide the pin and spring back in that hole to get connected to that pin. Alright, so let me see if I can do this on camera. I'm looking through the camera. Now our plate comes into play later, so alright, let's do this. I just put the, there's no way I can show you that I'm doing this. I'm just going to do it. So I just put the pin back in there. I don't know if you can see that well or not. I'm hugging the tripod. It's actually hysterical how I'm filming this. And then the spring goes back in. And why this is so well done is they make just enough room for you to align your tube. Okay, he's back to normal. And now I can tighten the nut, and that spring will go in, as you can see there. And it aligns right in. The pin's in. I'm hand tightening that. And there we go. Now before I tighten this with my multi-tool, I want to make sure I did this right. So my takedown pin, let's just make sure he's working, and he is. It's nice and tight. The pin's in there, springs behind it. I'm good to go. Now I can tighten this nut. I'm absolutely fascinated at how well this guy, I think his name's Alan, came up with this. This is truly amazing. You should all be buying this product, only if you have to, from the state. Or maybe you like this design, I don't know. Maybe pistol grip's not for you. So basically I gotta go to 40 PSI, and I'm just gonna, basically as tight as I can do it by hand. I don't have a wrench to measure, but that's as tight as I'm going to go with that right now. Alright, now let's put the buffer spring back in. I have a David Tubbs buffer spring, a little different. And it's oiled up and ready to go. Alright, so I have little grooves that I try to avoid getting on there, but I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Alright, so we basically just deassembled and reassembled all for one little plate. Okay? Now if you've already got this ergonomic plate, I recommend you don't do any of the steps that I just did. If you have a nice plate, and the reason why we do that is for the next step. But if you got one of those already and it looks just like this, you do not need to do all that I just did. Okay, next we're going to put the buffer tube cover on. And here's the package. I've just been setting it off to the side. There's a forearm and grip, or buttstock and grip, and then here's the buffer tube. There is a piece of plastic that comes with this. You can just do what you want with that. That's not needed. That's just to hold this together. And then what we're going to do with this guy is we're going to slide him all the way on. Now I have something I should have mentioned. This is a mil-spec buffer tube, and the way you can tell is it's flat, where the commercial has the angle, but they work on either. You're going to want to push that all the way to the end. Let me make sure I do that for you guys. Push it all the way to the end. Okay, because it has to be, it cannot be adjustable, right, California? Alright, so now what we got to do is cover that up, because I don't want that to be damaged in any way. So what I'm going to do is come over to my little toolkit, and there's a little plastic plate that slides in there. And inside that plastic plate you can see there are holes because they give you a stainless steel rod that goes through here with an Allen wrench screw on one end, and then you're going to screw these both in. And the holes are adjustable, right? You just got to get it right. But once they're in, what I'm going to do then is just lay this on the ground, and I'm going to screw the two screws in with the Allen wrenches that they provide. So one's going to hold it for me and the other one's going to screw it in for me. You guys have all done this type of thing before. This is not new. But it's just to cover up my innards. That's the sole purpose. Put the other screw in. I'll screw that in. That's the plate. The last thing we're going to do is put the buttstock on, and they have a warning message for you in regards to basically just so that they can't get sued if you do anything wrong or if you don't follow law or whatnot. So there's a whole safety. If you take this off, you understand what you're doing here. This is actually a pretty cool design. There's a storage compartment in there too with the screws, sling built in. Does not swivel, but that's okay. You don't want it to. So lots of nice features in something of this design. So let's put this back on. The first thing we need to do though is to get our safety spring back in. Now this comes from the grip, right? So we're gonna put this guy back in with the pin. Let me hold it. Sorry. Let's do this first. Okay, again, for just packaging and shipping purposes, there's a little piece in here, and we're going to want to remove that with the screws provided. So they have some screws here and these Allen wrenches that they provided, and we're just going to undo this little piece here. I'm actually going to unscrew this whole thing because I think it's screwed in. They drilled a hole for this piece, and that's just so that it doesn't get damaged in shipping, because the packaging is plastic. This little piece right here has no purpose. Okay, that's what we need. Alright, so what doesn't come with their kit is this spring right here. Okay, so this is the safety selector spring. We're going to take that out, and we're going to stick it in their location. Okay, and then we're going to take the pin, we're going to lay that down carefully, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the firing, the safety pin back in. I like to put it on safe there. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the pin back in that holds that there, right, and that's done here, and that's where the spring presses up against on the buttstock. So point down. These are so little, these parts are so little. There's a little tip. We're going to press that down, and then it's got a flat bottom, as you can see. Okay, and then I'm going to press this in there while I'm also holding this down. Okay, I tapped it in. That's working correctly. Literally, I'm taking a rubber mallet, I'm hitting the buttstock to get it in there nice and tight. To get it in there nice and tight. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's what it took for me to get it all the way in there. So now let's put in the screw with the washer that comes with it to hold it together and tighten that into place. Again, this is my first time, so I don't rehearse things with you guys. I do it live. Some of you like that, some of you don't. But I show the mistakes. Okay, so as I tighten this, it's form-fitting into place now. There isn't a cap to go over that, by the way. There you have it. So now magically, and there's the grip. That's how it works there, right? This is the best one I've seen on the market. Now there's also accessories I can get for my cheek, right? Pads and things like that to put over here. But yeah, for the most part, this is what we're looking at to be California compliant. Now all of a sudden, I am magically not an assault rifle. Yet I shoot the same bullet, the same cartridge. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed except for the way it looks. Nothing else. Idiot legislatures in California. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave your comments, UAR experts. I'm not one, I'm a hunter. So you experts, please share your thoughts on what I could have done differently or better. But I appreciate you watching.